without a shadow of a doubt. It's the Cronkite Show in social media history. I want to welcome you to the originators, man. It's called the War
Wi-Fi
Zone.
isn't set up. For help, go to your Alexa app.
I got a new speaker, bear with me. Say, man, my co-host, Donovan Sadiq, the Queen, Demetra K, and I am the 5-star general. Say, man, you've been seeing it all over the country. The police is mad. They throwing their badges on the ground and they walking off. And tonight we might just tell you to stay the hell gone. We're finna find out though. Say, man, I want to welcome you to another exciting edition of the War Zone. And y'all forgive me, man. I got a new speaker and it talks on its own. So I may have to go back to the old one until I figure this one out, man. Remember, man, we couldn't do this every night without you guys. We really feel like you're the best audience in the world, and we appreciate you taking time out to tune in because you could be doing other things. But you decide to hang out with us almost every night, and that's a beautiful thing. Tonight, man, you know, I've been seeing it. Cops upset about cops kneeling, or either cops upset about cops being prosecuted. They throwing their badges on the ground. In ATL, they are calling in, you know, don't want to come to work. So tonight we're going to talk about it. You shoot the questions. My man's them going to take care of them questions. And we're going to start from there. I'm going to turn it over to the Queen. What's up, mama?
So hello, everybody. Once again, welcome to the War Zone on this very fine Tuesday evening. Hope you all are having a great day. And as Gary said, we cannot do this without you. So thank you so much for being here every night and being very loyal to having good, sometimes spirited conversation, but always with the aim of learning something new, right? Hopefully. And that's on both of our ends. And so anyway, cops are walking off the job. Well, a lot of them want to anyway. So let's go to Washington, D.C., where about 600 police officers were polled, and about 71% of them said they want to walk off the job. A lot of them are thinking about just leaving law enforcement altogether. 97% of them say they feel, unloved and unsupported and all of that by lawmakers and just, Americans in general, although it says about 80% or so, or maybe even higher than that, of Americans agree with some sort of law reform due to the recent murder of George Floyd. Now, obviously, there's been plenty of murders before that, but George Floyd was a tipping point, and so many Americans feel like there should be some sort of law reform. Well, specifically, a lot of people think that police forces rather should be defunded or dismantled. Now, there's a difference between dismantling and defunding. A lot of times people confuse defunding with, we just want to get rid of the police. No, it means that a lot of police forces, like in New York and Houston, it sounds like, has a lot of money, like way more money than they'll ever spend. And so defunding it means taking some of that money and reallocating it toward things that the money will make a difference, like a lot of youth programs. That's what New York is doing with some of their money. Same thing with California. And so police officers feel abandoned, if you will. And so they're like, you know what? Why even stay? Let's take our ball and go home. Now, on July 4th, I think it's New York City Police Department. They're wanting to do what they call a blue flu. They want to say, hey, we're not coming to work, and you guys go exercise your independence and see how you get along without us. And so they're planning to do that, and we'll see if they actually do it. But so here we are having a discussion of them wanting to leave. Now, I guess we want to know, from you guys, and we're going to have a discussion, are they justified? What's really going on with them? Are they just being spoiled brats? And then also, they feel like, well, you guys are wanting to punish us. You guys being the lawmakers and just people in general, you want to punish us for doing our job. Now, we know, especially in New York, we've seen them, quote unquote, do their job to the tune of murdering an Eric Garner, who repeatedly said he couldn't breathe. And so they also feel like if they are off of, if they're defunded and dismantled and basically held accountable, then crime is going to go up. If we're not able to do the things that we're supposed to do, crime is going to go up. And so they have a whole bunch of reasons as to why they're, for the most part, pissed off. And so, Gary?
Oh, man. Go get you a goddamn teddy bear. So you telling me that cops are upset because we have a problem with you beating and brutalizing us and murdering us? So now you don't want to come to work. Well, in the real world, if you don't come to work, you should lose your job. At the end of the day, you got an issue with us, but it's our tax money that pays you. So we pay you to kill us. And because we have a problem with that right now, you don't want to come to work. What I don't really want to hear tonight, I don't want to hear about the good cops, because we have no way to decipher who's good and who's bad. We have no way. So we have to look at it like they're all bad. Now we didn't start this. They did this. The Blue Wall did this. And for all of y'all out there that got kin folks that's cops, why the hell they ain't been telling? Don't tell me how good they is, because they know the dirtiness that some of these people do out here on these streets. So if you feel like you're an officer and you have your panties in a bunch, pull them panties up close to where you put on your bulletproof vest. Go and get you a lollipop, because you ain't nothing but a sucker to begin with.
And they also say, before Donovan, you say what you got to say, they also say it's unfair for you guys to get to know who we are when we're involved in an officer-involved shooting that takes someone's life. You shouldn't get to know who we are. We should be able to have some sort of privacy. Because, there's a lot of police departments, they won't release the name of the officer. A lot of times people have to go digging and find out who the officer is. The union will not give up these police officers. And so a lot of lawmakers are trying to change the laws and saying, hey, if you're involved in an officer-involved shooting, especially when somebody's life is taken, the public should know who you are. Because more than likely, you're going to find out that officer was involved in some more nonsense before that. Donovan?
I can't believe I'm sitting up here listening to you two talk about the cops should not have the right to shoot us down. That's the whole reason a lot of them become police officers. When that qualified immunity was put over their head, these white race soldiers said, wow, I could shoot somebody and just say I feared for my life, so I can get all these Negroes and people just, and the system's going to protect me. So, of course, I'm talking very sarcastic there. But how many people know this? If the cops leave, so what? Remember in the 80s when the traffic controllers left? Reagan fired all the traffic controllers in their union, said, get the fuck out, right? Who took over that job? The military came in on a temporary basis and they outsourced it and they got their shit together, whatever. That's exactly what's going to happen, because these cops are basically saying they're above the law. We are the taxpayer. If we say we do not want these things to happen, that's how it should go. And even if they do walk out on that day, wouldn't that be something that no crimes or anything happens on that day? Then what are they going to stand on? Because people have had enough. We can police ourselves. It's just like when we are with our kids and stuff, you leave them at home, they can take care of themselves. We don't need the nonsense. With the climate in the world today, if the police department left right now, yeah, you're going to have some knuckleheads out there, but the neighborhoods in whole, I think, will be just fine.
I have a comment from TCK. The ones walking off the job just confirm their true intent. And I believe that. I mean, how you got a problem with us not wanting to be murdered, man. You know, we paid all this tax money for you to wear them body cams. Look like every time something really pop off, y'all ain't got them on. Or you're doing no knock warrants, you're killing folk, and ain't nobody got the cameras on. You know, at the end of the day, I mean, it's give and take, man. I mean, if y'all want to go, bruh. We need to start policing our own neighborhoods anyway. We need to start taking care of each other anyway. It ain't like realistically you solve a bunch of damn crimes to begin with. You're always on the news crying for us to snitch. Okay, so if you want us to snitch, why you can't snitch on your homeboy in blue? Why you can't tell what they doing, man? It is what it is. And I wanna read this comment. I disagree. My fiance is a lieutenant. Stop right there. And my homeboy got murdered in Minnesota. What make your fiance better than George Floyd? What makes him better? Because he protect you ain't protecting and serving. Let's get that out there right now. That ain't been going on for years. You ain't coming through the hood and looking out for us. You coming through the hood and you brutalizing us. You coming through the hood and you planting dope on us. You coming through the hood and you taking dope money. So I get it with that's your family and hey man. The same way they put all us black folk in a box, we ain't got no choice but to put all them in a box. And I've said it. If you want to go, get the hell on. You one thing you can't do, you should never do, and listen to me. Don't let a terroristic organization hold you hostage. Because we really starting to see who the true terrorists are on American soil.
And I would say too, so your fiance may be holding some officers accountable, but come on, we live on the West Coast and we hear about the horrible things that New York Police Department has done to people. I mean, since forever. So for you to say, "Oh, that's not true," I disagree. My fiance, holds officers accountable. Then why are we hearing about all the murders and nonsense that goes on in New York if she's holding them accountable? Like she may be holding some of them accountable, but it's not enough to make a dent. And then Damien, he says unions protect them from losing their jobs if they walk off. That may be true to some degree, but I can't remember the name of the law, whatever it is. But there's a law saying if they walk off the job, they go to jail and they are fined. And this is police officers. So
yeah, I just put up the Wikipedia thing where it references that they because they are in law enforcement and they're first responders, they cannot walk off the job. It is a crime for them to walk off the job. So their union stuff has no bearing when it comes to, and if they do walk off, which is, that's why they blue flu and stuff, the military will step in and take it on a temporary basis. But that is a law. They are not allowed to strike because they are the first responders.
I think the biggest question would be, why is it so hard for law enforcement to conform? Why is it so hard for you to have some patience when you out policing? Like I said, I studied law right now. So the watchman style of policeman, that means that every single time you come in contact with somebody, they don't have to go to jail. It does not have to become violent. Now, if they're teaching this to us, because you have to, in Texas, I think you have to have 60 hours in a university studying something. So if you studied law, you're studying the same thing that I'm studying. So why is it so hard for you to remember all this stuff we have to learn in law? And then when you get on the street, you just have selective amnesia. When you get to slamming 75-year-old men in Buffalo, no, we got a problem with that, man. Whether he was white or black, it was wrong. When you on a full, a big grown horse, looks like a thoroughbred horse, and you just run over a protester? Let's not even talk about the physicality. The physicalities that we watched over the last 10 years. Why is it so hard for police to conform? You stay telling us what we need to do. Now the community is trying to communicate with law enforcement. Nobody's not saying that we don't want the cops, but you have to conform. And why is it so hard for them to conform, Demetri?
Because they are known on the street as judge, jury, and executioner. They know that. And then it's like, one of the housewives said, who gonna check me, boo? They have that mentality because they know they'll get away with it. I'll fear for my life. Okay, great, write it up, and then we'll go ahead and spin it. Have the union go out there and say it was justified homicide, all that nonsense. That's why. That nobody's holding them accountable, but now their accountability is starting to come into the picture, and they don't like it. It's like a spoiled brat who has been getting his way all this time, and then all of a sudden the parent says, you know what, Johnny, enough. I'm gonna straighten you out. And then Johnny bucks the system. I'm running away from home, Mom. I mean, it's the same thing. But at the end of the day, these police officers, aren't getting in trouble or being chastised for something small. They're getting chastised for taking people's lives, innocent people's lives.
But at the same time, it isn't just them that's being exposed too. It's also the district attorneys are now being exposed, working hand in hand. Shouldn't these departments, yes, they work together, but be independent? It's kind of like being in the military. You got the Air Force, you've got the Army, you've got the Navy. They all work toward the same goal, but they have a different component to execute the war.
I agree with Damian Thaddeus Jones. All cops should have a 4-year degree. I think that you should have a 4-year degree. I think this is just me. Let me explain why. As much as I know about law, I learn something new every day when I pick up them books. I learn something new in those books every single day. And guess what? I don't feel that after 2 years, I'm going to know enough to be effective in what I'm going to do from legality standpoints. So I think, and the reason I say they should have a 4-year degree, a cosmetologist needs 800 clock hours to legally be able to do your hair. And a cop don't even need a degree. Come on, man. Come on. And realistically, they can major in anything. So if they go major in basket weaving, they've met the qualifications to be a Houston Police Department officer. I just think they need more. And inside of that, I mean, you actually have courses where you can get physical training. And, a lot of them end up killing folks because they end up in physical altercations and they can't handle it. I just watched a dude on Facebook beat the hell out of 2 cops by himself. And then broke off and ran, and they couldn't catch him anyway. So that's just me. I think that they need more knowledge of the law. I think a lot of them are just ignorant to the law, but they're so protected they can get away with anything.
So while I think they do need knowledge of the law, and I think everybody needs knowledge of the law, but tell me what degree those cops will get. Or now, let me rephrase my question. Do you actually need a degree of any kind to tell you that kneeling on a man's neck for almost 9 minutes is wrong? What kind of schooling do you need to go to learn that? I think that should be human nature. But we talk about that a lot. A lot of these police officers, they don't see Black people as humans. They see us as less than. So they could go to Harvard and, Morehouse and all of that and get all the finest degrees in the world. If you're a douchebag racist that thinks that kneeling on a man's neck for 9 minutes is good, ain't no degree you gonna get. Yes, I say ain't no degree you gonna get. It's gonna stop you from doing that.
I think there's a lot that comes into play with these interactions. So I'm going to speak to my police officers or to the families of police officers right now. I need you to understand something. That in a predominantly Black neighborhood, it's not working at night when all the officers tend to be white. It's not working. That's been proven. It just does not work at night. Because you got the folks out here, they trigger happy, they scary. So they quick to do whatever they need to do. And God forbid you ever get behind me to pull me over. I'm not pulling over until I get somewhere with a whole bunch of lights and some people. You can charge me with whatever you want. I'm not pulling over, I'm telling you. It's not gonna happen. There are a lot of things that come into play, man. No consistent psychological evaluations for these people. They need to have their mental capacity checked at least once a month. They go through a lot. And you notice tonight I'm being real serious with this, because when it's all said and done, we're talking about people losing their lives. But if you want to put your badge down, because you just don't get it, then okay, you might have you might be security at the Houston Zoo. Go try that. But if you kill one of them animals, you're going to jail. Now, you kill one of us, you're going to get off. But you kill one of them animals in there, kill one of them ducks, and you going to jail.
That's it. And that's funny because it's true. Animals have a lot more rights than some people. But I really think that what they're doing is really like pulling a bluff. Where can you have a basic high school diploma and make a six-figure salary? Basically just eating donuts most of the time. So I really think it's a big bluff, because they got house payments, they got car payments. They ain't stupid.
Look at these DAs, these racist DAs that go to they go to 4 years of school, then they go to law school, and they got to pass a bar exam, which is, especially in California, is super hard. So what's their excuse? They go through all the schooling and all the training and all of that, and they still screw Black people over, especially. So, I hear what y'all saying. I think there should be some educational component. But to say that a degree is going to stop these people, and to Damien's point, he says, well, a degree will stop, and I guess he said Billy Bob from joining the police force. It's not just Billy Bob's on the police force. It's a lot of, people with some sort of intelligence. Just because you're intelligent doesn't mean you're not racist. There's a lot of Hitler was intelligent. He was intelligent enough to be able to sway the masses, enough people with his propaganda to do what he did. So intelligence doesn't always mean you're not racist. The whole racist thing, as I argue all the time, there's no amount of training that's going to train or stop a person from being that. And as far as the psychological evaluations, I took two. One, to be a correctional officer, and one to be a sheriff when I was in my early 20s. I didn't pass because I didn't pass the physical. And I was like, I'm good, okay? But they do those things. And so I'm imagining the questions that they ask you before you even get the job are supposed to weed out the people who may or may not be a fit. But the real problem is some of the people who are sitting on those panels and asking you all these questions, they think that way too. So maybe they're looking for people who think like them. Because I read an article of a police officer. She's an ex-police officer. She said she witnessed a whole bunch of horrible things at the hands of her co-workers, and she was scared to tell. And she says her boss came to her and asked her, different questions about different incidents, but he was really just trying to see if she was a good cop or she was going to stay behind the blue line with everybody else. So they know what they're looking for.
So here's a question. What is the job of an actual patrol officer for the Houston Police Department? Well, years ago, I used to coach Little League football, and we had a lot of cops that coached. So I sat down under the tree after a game, and I talked to him. Guy had been on the force about 20 years. He said, Monroe, let me tell you something. He said, all we got to do is make 7 calls a day. I say, what you mean by calls? He say, they call us 7 times through our system, and we go out to the calls. And I say, so if you get 7 calls in your first 2 hours and you got 8-hour shift, he say, after the 7 calls, I can go sit under a tree. He said, I don't have to do nothing. I say, so you telling me them boys out there under the freeway giving out tickets? He say, they don't even have to do it. He say, they do it because they want to do it. You see what think about that. 7 calls. That's all they have to do. So this thing, my job's stressful unless you undercover. I don't think it's that stressful. It ain't all what y'all trying to make it to be. So you think about what they actually have to do. So if you got a drunk vagrant, you see what I'm saying? And stopping somebody doesn't count unless it comes through your radio. So if you got somebody that's drunk, if you got to go break up a fight, whatever, 7 calls. And then your day is basically over. So I looked at him and I told him, I see how you did your 20 years. He said, why you think I'm out here coaching? I said, you done did your 7 calls for the day? He said, I did them early this morning. I'm out here 10 o'clock. I got a game. He actually in the park coaching.
You know what, though? While I agree with everything you said about that particular police officer or highway patrol, whatever it is, I think their job is a little bit more stressful than that. You know, because we do hear about police officers showing up to, like, say, a domestic violence call, and, you know, God forbid they get taken out. So I would imagine it is stressful, because when you get those calls, you don't know exactly what's on the other side of the door or what you're dealing with. But I think that's where the training comes in handy, you know, to learn how to deal with those type of situations. But if you're pulling somebody over, you know, for an alleged busted headlight, and then they end up murdered, or you're, you know, trying to talk to a guy about some Lucy cigarettes and you end up choking him to death, that, to me, that's a whole different story. You're not going to train a person. Like, I'm telling you, I can't breathe 452,000 times. And what training is going to, like, make you not do that to me, unless you walked up on me wanting to cause me harm before you even knew what my malfunction was. You knew that you were going to have the last word, and you were going to subjugate me, including murdering me on a cold sidewalk over some freaking cigarettes. So training is not going to help that, but I think training will help those other situations where it may cause them some stress.
So if you could train them, because I train football players, if you could train them, what do you think they need to do?
I mean, well, first of all, I don't know all there is, you know, to know about what they have to go through or what they do. But I will first of all say, I think there's a little feedback. I will first of all say, if you are afraid to do the job, but maybe this ain't the job for you. You know, like, there's people who are hiring to clean alligator pits or snake cages. I know that ain't the job for me. I don't care how much they pay, and I'm not going to do the job. So first of all, I would say, if that's not for you, don't do it. Because again, there's nothing that's going to train me if I'm afraid. Like, to your point, they send these, you know, white police officers into the black neighborhoods at night. They're already going into the neighborhoods with their antennas up, and they're scared, and every little thing that moves, they're going to, you know, be on alert. And so I don't know. I just think perhaps a lot of those police officers aren't a good fit from the beginning. Just like there's a lot of people who have gone to cosmetology school, and I don't care if the 1,600 hours is over, they still can't do hair. That just ain't for you. Go find something else to do.
So let me ask this question. So would it be I think it's a good idea, disband the police system, bring in the state police, whatever you need to do. They did it in New Jersey, and in a town in New Jersey, and recruit new people, you know, and with new standards and new things. I mean, are you for that idea, or are you just for, like, just revamping here's my thing. If you keep some of the same people in there, that culture will come back. Give it a few years. So to me, you have no other choice.
I'm gonna say this here. I want to go back to the training aspect. Now, Dimitri, do you have a son or just a daughter?
I have nephews that are like my sons.
Okay, so your nephew like your son. How old is he? How old is the youngest one?
My youngest nephew, oh gosh, well, my great youngest nephew is 4.
Okay, so 4. So what I do is, imagine if you had a nephew that was 12 and you sent him to the park to play for me, and he played quarterback. Now you're gonna come see him play on Saturdays, right? So I just want you to remember, when you brought him to the park, you dropped him off, go meet your team. I'm going to set up my chair and my tent, and I'm going to watch you play. Is it my job as a coach to make sure that your nephew gets back in your car, or he's taken away from the park in an ambulance because somebody broke his leg?
The first one.
Okay, so I need to make sure that he comes back in one piece. This is how I trained my offensive lineman that had to protect your nephew. So, and my nephew's on here that played for me. He's a grown man now. He'll tell you I'm not lying. If you missed a block and my quarterback got hit, I would tell you step off the line, but I'm going to leave that hole right there where I took you from. And then I'm going to put you at quarterback. Run the play. Live defense. Nobody in that hole. Because I want you to feel what it feels like to be a quarterback and nobody blocks for you. So when I think about police, the training that I would implement, because they need to understand they're dealing with real situations, I want you to lay on the ground and somebody put your knee on his damn neck. I want your partners to watch this. I want you to squeal. I want it to hurt. I want you in a chokehold. I want you to see how that feels. And as you as an extra officer standing there, what would you do if this happened? I guarantee you it would change a lot.
Yeah,
Trust me.
Yeah, for those.
Hold on a second. You remember Spencer Johnson that came on the show, the pro football player retired? I coached his 8-year-olds. His son was our quarterback. And in 10 games, they only sacked him 3 times. You have to make them feel what these people are going through. That should be implemented in that training.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to agree with that, because those of us that have been in the military, they are one of the things, I don't care what branch you're in, because I was in the SMART branch, but they make you go to that gas chamber because they want you to feel what it's like to experience that gas and get it into your system. And, and then they train you how to react to it. Even in the hand-to-hand combat and the fighting, your drill instructor might choke you out and say, what will you do in this situation? And you got to figure it out. And I think that being in the training is why you don't see so many incidents of military people shooting Iraqis down, even though there was a lot of instances of that. They just don't put it out there. But yeah, it's in the training. You can train somebody to be a little bit more empathetic in regards to, okay, this is right, this is wrong, this is how we're going to do it. But I'm with Demetra. I have to digress. You can't stop a racist from being a racist.
Well, you're going to have to find a better way to vet them, because they shouldn't even be able to get into the department. It ain't, let me tell you something. When we try to go to the Super Bowl, do y'all understand how much shit we got to go through just to get in the game? So you telling me to be a cop, they can't figure out some of this stuff? All they got to do with a lot of them is check their social media. They worse than the kids. They'll post their true feelings on social media. Look at their tattoos. Look at that. And Art Acevedo, I'm from 3rd Ward, Texas. All right, then you throw this up, Chief. In California, that means something else. In California, that's a gang sign, boy. So if you just pay attention to what they wear, how they wear it, their tattoos, you can get a bunch of them. You don't get all of them. We got to do a better job of vetting these people.
How about junior officer, cadet, or whatever you're called? If you put your knee on another human's neck, not only are you going to lose your pension and your paycheck, you're going to go to jail because it's illegal. I don't need to train you to be sensitive. Just know that there's consequences for you doing stuff you're not supposed to do. Like, to me, that's a way, like, it's almost like playtime. Okay, well, cadet, we're going to go through the motions and let's play like this. No, we're going to pay, just like those people you're going to go arrest for breaking the law. The same thing is going to happen to you for administering an illegal chokehold that takes a man's life over some cigarettes. Or, how about the man in New York about 20 years ago, the black man was taken down to the police station and was raped with a broomstick. And those officers never did any time. Like, how do you train somebody not to do those things? They don't want to do a broomstick, raping somebody with a broomstick training as well. How about you just go to jail and don't pass go for doing those things?
Okay, so if we send them to jail, I think the people that were there that didn't tell, they should go right along with them and get the same sentence. The lieutenant that knew what went on, they should get the same sentence. The sergeant should get the same sentence. See, that's where you're going to have a problem with the DA and the union. I believe that you are totally right, but that's where you're going to have a problem with the DA and the union. But I also will double back again and say that the military, contrary to popular opinion, trains killers every day. They certified killers, man. Like, everybody gets so excited, especially if the war popping off and we in the right. Oh, they're sending the army, but they sent the Marines first. They sent the killers first. But the thing is they taught them how to kill, but they also taught them restraint. I don't know. You tell me, Donovan. You the military, man.
Well, like I said, I was in the Air Force, which is not actually a military branch. We're just the thinkers. No, just for those guys in the military, you guys know what I'm understanding. But yeah, in the military, they do teach restraint and they teach consequences. I am not going to jail if I cannot tell an Iraqi combatant from an Iraqi civilian. I'm not doing that. So, you got to weigh the good with the bad. Yeah, I have 25 years, or let's say I'm at 17 years. I'm almost there. 3 more years, I made it to the promised land. I'm not going to risk that over just, some stupid decision to show how superior and strong I am, So it's, like I said, the Marine Corps and the Army, they have a different field. They are trained killers. And I'm telling you, it is difficult to be on the ground when your enemy, so-called enemy, is looking like the civilian population. But if you look at their training, there wasn't really a lot of mixed interaction and falsified killings of civilians. The only ones that I remember that were really known were the contractors. Where did the contractors come from? A lot of those Halliburton and what was that one, D? It was that Black Ops guy. He's Nancy DeVos's brother. Those contractors were either ex-military, mercenary rednecks that were either, ex-law enforcement or people who couldn't get into the law enforcement organization. And those are the guys who were doing all the problems.
There should be zero tolerance for excessive force. The same way that a lot of y'all don't know that there's zero tolerance in certain neighborhoods that may have gang issues or a lot of dope activity, it'll be zero tolerance. And that's when you see them rolling hard and they pulling folk over and all that there. It should be zero tolerance for excessive force. And, when you sign up, this is the documentation you have to sign. This is what you agree to. You say it is what it is, man. So, but I've been telling folks for the longest, it's a way to stop all these police shootings. Like I said, when you have to deal with true consequences, you got to think twice. When I get that mad, I'm in Tulsa last weekend with my partner from Oklahoma City. Something looked like it was gonna go down. He dealing with personal. And he told the dude, he said, man, you don't have a clue that boy right there will kill you in a heartbeat. You don't have a clue. It's consequences for your actions. So I've told this to the chief, and I know it's way out in left field, but if that officer knew that he wrongfully killed somebody and somebody was going to kill somebody in his family, he'd think about it. Because I got to think nowadays before I just go off and blow. Man, I'm going to get 25 or life, or they might give me the death penalty. Man, I gotta let this clown make it today, man. But I don't know. At this point, I'm like Demetria, Donovan, clean it out. Just clean it all out. Get all the roaches out the house, and let's start from scratch.
A real quick funny story. How many of you guys remember during the illegal invasion of Iraq, that Army Guard unit from West Virginia that abused those Iraqi prisoners. You guys remember that? They abused them and stacked them and did all that craziness. In their civilian jobs, those guys were correctional officers. So they should have known better. But their racism came out, and that's what they did. So, you know, if they in Iraq, just think about what they were doing back home. But see, as a military person, we didn't tolerate that shit. And they all went to prison and paid a heavy price for it, because that makes it look bad on the good ones.
You know, Donna makes a couple of good points. One, she says, well, cops, a lot of cops, I'm assuming, are from the military. So did they forget the code of ethics somewhere along the lines, or do they just know that there's a different culture there at the police department where they can kind of, you know, let their inner racism out or whatever it is they're going to do? And then she also says, yeah, the DAs are friends with the police and have coffee on the weekends. That's why the charges don't stick. And I agree. You know, they're all in the same game. They're not going to, you know, hold the officers accountable. And so again, back to our original point where these police officers are thinking about quitting and walking off the job and all of that. They're not used to themselves being in a hot seat or having their feet held to the fire when they do bad things. And so the DA is just part of that. They don't, you know, well, don't worry about it. We got you. And Ron Terrell says punishment should be told up front upon hiring, so there wouldn't be no excuses for brutality. I mean, I would imagine that is part of the conversation that they have with potential officers. Because I know, like when I was going to be a correctional officer, they said, well, you know, we don't give you guns, right? And I was like, well, I heard, but is that for real? They said, yeah, we don't give you guns in the facility because inmate might get it. And, you know the story. There's only, you know, a couple of guns in the towers and M16s and all of that. And they said they might take you hostage and you could be in there for weeks before we get you, because we don't negotiate with the prisoners over hostages. And that right then I was like, okay, I don't think I want that job because I'm cute. I'm just kidding. But they tell you those things up front. So I don't know why they wouldn't tell them something like that.
I agree with you. I've seen it. I've seen it. They used to terrorize our block. Actually, Gerald Goins used to terrorize our block on Caveman Lavo. He used to terrorize my partner, take him to jail every day. They thought he was selling dope. They couldn't prove it. So every day they would arrest him on something dumb, you know, like they pull him over in the 6'4", you're not wearing your seatbelt. Well, a 6'4" wasn't made with seatbelts. It's a classic car. You don't have to have seatbelts in it. So it took me reporting this cop to IAD. And the reason I got some movement in IAD because my cousin worked in IAD to get him off my friend, because it was going to get ugly. And you see what I'm saying? I mean, and what they don't realize is right now they've created this culture where, you know, people are in fear when they get pulled over. You know, they don't know what to think. We trying to make it home. They trying to make it home. We don't know if there's the good cop or the bad cop. You know, so I treat them all the same. I just handle them like I handle them. You know, either give me a ticket or take me to jail. I don't want to have no conversations. I don't care what it's about. Give me a ticket or take me to jail. So, you know, I think that we got to come up with something. I'm being honest with y'all, because where we are right now, you know, they want to walk off the job. Walk off. Bye. Stop at the nearest carnival. Get your stuffed animal. Because you really acting like a bitch.
I mean, I totally agree with you. I mean, somebody made the point earlier that the officers that are wanting to walk off are the ones that are mad they can't do bad stuff. I mean, if you're really doing your job and you're doing everything you're supposed to do to the letter, you're going out there and serving and protecting and, you know, make sure the community's safe, make sure you're safe. What's the big deal? Like, I think everybody should be a little pissed off, at the very least, that people are being dehumanized and brutalized. I mean, I don't understand where the problem is. You're mad because you can't be out there, you know, yahooing and wild cowboying, you know, out there in the streets. I mean, like New York got rid of their plainclothes unit, and I've seen plenty of police brutality videos with the plainclothes unit in New York, and they just, I mean, like a lot of times, who was it? I think it was Sean Bell and Diallo is his last name. I can't think of his first name. They were accosted by plainclothes police. They didn't even know they were police officers. What was it? Sean Bell got shot upwards of 20-something times and murdered. Diallo got shot with 41 times. Didn't even know who these people were. And so a lot of these police officers in the plainclothes unit were out there just, you know, doing just hood shit to people, operating like gangs. In fact, I know, especially in LA, there's a lot of police officers who were literally in a police gang. So, I mean, if those are the officers who want to walk off, like, well, who are we to stop you? By all means, do what you do best.
Right. And the thing is, they should walk off and put them on a damn list so that they can't find any kind of law enforcement employment in the future. Because, you know, a lot of them are going to walk off now and then come back a few years later at another jurisdiction. No, let's put them on the list and say, you abandon your job. You're done.
I think they have options. You can either quit, retire, you know, whatever you choose to do. You can either completely transform, reform the system, or we can play this game of Russian roulette, and you'll get some of us and we'll get some of you. Those are your options. But I think the days of us just sitting back and letting this go on, it's not going to happen like that no more. You know, those of us that are getting old, we're not like these youngsters, man. These youngsters ain't having it, bro. Contrary to what y'all think about them, they not having it, man. So we have no choice but to deal with police reform. But here's my question to you guys. With all of what's going on, like in Houston for years, until we got the current DA, over 300 police shootings, no true bills. You rarely seldom get a true bill in LA. You rarely seldom get a true bill in New York. Should these police organizations themselves be labeled as terroristic groups?
Absolutely. That's what they do. They terrorize people. I mean, you just talked about a story of your guy out there in Houston being terrorized by Gerald Goins, I think it is. You know, that's what they do. They terrorize people. Again, you know, and Asada, you know, she's from New York, and I saw that you got your shirts, by the way. I'm glad. She's from New York. You know, she can tell you about the plenty of stories as has come out about a lot of the police officers who have completely terrorized people. Sean King had did a report. It was a really long investigation a couple years back of I think it was Brooklyn police. Some certain detectives, the police officers in the Brooklyn Police Department were, I mean, terrorizing the kids. You know, some of the teenagers' moms, you know, they would shake them down for sex. Otherwise, your kids are going to jail. I mean, just a whole bunch of stuff. So absolutely there. I mean, hell, the inception of the police is the KKK, which is a terrorist group. I think that just really recently made the terrorist group in America, like within the last month or so.
And people, and I'm going to ask y'all, because maybe you can answer this, or maybe one of our guests can answer it. And what I'm going to do, I say my man say he been in Facebook jail. In a couple of days, I'm going to bring my man on CPZ from Beaumont, Texas. That's the Golden Triangle. And this man going to tell y'all about them cops, man. He going to tell you about them cops in the Klan in Beaumont, Texas. But here's my thing. You know, we feel that they may be a terroristic group, right? You know, I really believe that they are. I believe that you identify gang members by the clothes that they wear. They all like to wear blue. Am I right or wrong? So, they protect each other. They violate the law constantly. So my thing is this here. Is it wrong for people to say fuck the police at this point? I mean, because think about it, when it initially come out, when NWA did it, it was 1988. We're in 2020. And it's worse than what it was in 88. So how bad do you feel when you hear somebody say, fuck the police?
Well, the Black Panther Party in 1966 labeled them pigs. I mean, the police ain't never been good, especially the black people. They've always been adverse to black people. So NWA knew it, Black Panthers knew it, and our ancestors knew it, and during the Jim Crow era. So it's never been a secret. So I don't think people. I think people are validated for saying FTP. I think they're more than validated.
But here's what I think it is to. They forgot their oath. You are to protect the people's rights, constitutional rights, and they feel that they're above all that their rights are the only rights that matter, because it's ridiculous to me to see the people that support these policemen that are walking off the job and that are killing people. When you become a police officer, it's like when you join the military, you've given up a lot of your rights. And I tell Demetra all the time, and we're on these other shows, I say the reason why a cop is given a gun and a badge is to make sure I get home safe, not they get home safe. If you're worried about yourself, you shouldn't even be a cop. And somehow it got twisted somewhere along the line. So,
well, I've seen this. Of course, the controversial song by NWA, F the Police. I have seen black police showing out for the white cops. I've seen it. And I ain't seen it just 20 times. I done seen it hundreds of times. And I'm telling you that their attitudes, even on a simple traffic stop, can make that whole stop go left. Now we're starting to see on social media people posting all these videos of these cop interactions, not just with black people, with everybody. I'm going to be honest with y'all. I felt so bad for that old man in Buffalo. Because honestly, I'd have went to jail that day. That old white man, they threw him on the ground. And then, the two officers got fired, and then all of a sudden the rest of them want to quit. Well, I'd have went to jail that day for that old dude, man. Because that just wasn't right. And if anybody can get on here, on these programs, police officers, and they can fake about reform, then I'm challenging all you talk show people. You supposed to be giving checkups from the neck up, bruh. Because who's to say, and I'm going to call them out. Dallas Jones, you run a podcast. Who's to say that won't be you? Who's to say it won't be your wife? Quanell X, you on Fox. It could be you. It could be Quincy. It could be Demetra. It could be Donovan. Do not allow these people to sit on these platforms and pussyfoot. Give it to them, man. Make them tell us the truth. Make them do their jobs. If not, you're going to feel like Abby Kamen this morning. We're going to be in front of your house. We're going to make you uncomfortable.
I totally agree with you. Dr. Claude Anderson asked us, especially in black media, for one, to start black media, because it's black people own less than 3% of the media. So any and every chance we get to do these things, we should, our aim should be to enlighten people. And you're absolutely right, Gary. I agree with you 110,000%. You cannot be pussyfooting around doing this and trying to say, well, I'm going to be on the fence. Well, maybe, and then maybe not. No, you call a spade a spade. Either it is or it isn't. Because we as black people are out of time. We don't have time to candy coat anything. We don't need to keep putting the vitamins in the applesauce. God damn it, we need the vitamins raw because all this, candy coating things are keeping our people asleep. We need to say it like it is and stop being. See, Gary, a lot of people won't do what we are doing, and a lot of other people are doing because it's gonna cost me something.
You know what?
Master to say something to me, or do something to me. So I'm kind of.
I think God put us together by design. He I was going through transition. I reached out to you, and you reached out to Donovan. It's been clicking ever since. It's by design. But I will say what I'm most proud of with us three, that whether you're a politician, any type of elected official, whatever, you can't come on this program and play with us. We're unapologetically Black. Now, we can keep this program professional and dignified. But I will say, based on some of the people we've had on our show compared to other shows, that's why I'm challenging you, host of these other shows. Stop giving those people passes by asking those pussy ass questions. Hold their feet to the fire. If they didn't want to come on these shows, they wouldn't come. So they're using your show to uplift their platform. I'm not telling you to be disrespectful, but I'm telling you to ask the tough questions. And that's why I'm glad I sit next to two that don't care. We are really about uplifting our people, and we're going to hold everybody accountable. See, that is the first portion of reform in any aspect that people have to understand. It's the accountability aspect. Everybody has to be held accountable, from the person that violates the law to the person that upholds the law. Everybody needs to be held accountable.
And we as Black people are held accountable all the time. And it's funny that we don't like to hold other people accountable. I used to have a lot of some family members, if they were doing something, having a party or something, they try to give me the talk. Well, I got some white people coming over, some friends. So, just, be kind of careful. Don't say this and don't say that. And I'm like, I'm going to be me. Okay. But I also tell them that me talking about and uplifting Black people does not mean I don't like white people or I'm saying things bad about white people. And I said, if these white people are truly your friends, they're going to allow you, not that they have a choice, but they're going to let you be you unapologetically. And they would also understand where you as a Black person in America is coming from. And if they don't, then you don't need to be associated with them anyway. Now, I've had family members tell me that, oh, be careful, I got some white people coming over, Well, if they engage me in a conversation, they gonna get the realness. They not getting the whitewash message of, I think all lives matter. Nah, the hell with that. You gonna get what's coming out of my front teeth. And if you don't like it, then stop inviting me over to your house. But I never go, anywhere or try to be confrontational out of mean-spiritedness. I am, trying to enlighten our people in addition to being enlightened. I get it, but I don't get it. I get why a lot of times people soft shoe around the issue because they're afraid that, first of all, their white friends aren't going to like them no more, or something's going to happen to them. Like they're afraid what white people think about them. But we got white people watching this show. I got white people watching my show. And we just vibe, but they know they're going to come and hear what I got to say. I'm not going to, walk on eggshells because they now are in the building.
I tell you this here. Black people scared. Even in the revolution right now. I can't say nothing about Becky on the front line. Because she on the front line. She, I seen a Becky on the front line, had on a phone. She just dropping it like it's hot. The other Becky, she cussing the laws out. The Black people standing behind them. Y'all can't be scared now that the revolution done popped off. You're going to have to man up.
I I'm not taking nothing away from Becky, but Becky should have had her thong on the front line long before now. And it is her turn to be on the front line because Black people have been doing this forever. So it's going to always take white people to get rid of the very institution that they created. So I wouldn't mind standing behind Becky. Yeah, let Becky use her voice and her thong from now on, because the popo probably ain't going to shoot her ass as fast as he's going to shoot me with a rubber bullet. So go on, Becky, do what you got to do. Them your people.
And I get that. But I'm going to tell you something. You give our people a lot of credit. And we running with a bunch of cowards some days. And we've been running with a bunch of cowards for decades. So, yeah, Becky is an attribute. She's an asset to the team right now.
You know, a real quick story, and Dimitri will tell you this. One of the main guys, developers that owns my city, I talk about this man like a dog. I mean, unapologetic, how I do. City council, I go up to city council, and if you say my name, they will roll their eyes at you because I don't take no shit up there. And Dimitri will tell you that. But the very guy that's causing all the problems, I have him on speed dial on my cell phone. And people are always telling me, they go, well, you're always talking bad about the guy, whatever. You know why? I don't take no shit. And it's a mutual respect thing. He's doing his job as a developer, bilking my city for millions of dollars. But it's my job to bring that to light so that some people could do something about it. And that's what I'm saying. You can't be afraid to be killed, because Dimitri will tell you right now, I should have been killed a long time ago with the shit that I brought out. But they won't do
it. If they dug a grave for you, they probably dug one for me on the side of you, because I love messing up their money. HID, what it feel like to lose 45 million? I don't care. And I ain't backing off. So, you know, final words, Mr. Dimitri.
So, I mean, really final words in regards to these police officers wanting to walk off the job. Good riddance. I mean, you probably should have walked off a long time ago. And don't get mad because you can't kill Black people without punishment. I mean, like, what are we supposed? Oh, please don't go. What can we do to make it right? Go ahead and kill us and get away with it. I mean, like, I would love to say we gonna miss you, but we not. But, you know, and just to the other point, if we are going to do this, when I say we, especially people in Black media, or you have some sort of a platform, you know, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, whatever, you know, as Black people, use it to enlighten each other. I get it. Sometimes I post little silly things every once in a while. But for the most part, I do sometimes. But for the most part, we should be using it to enlighten each other, to teach each other something we didn't know, or at least give people an opportunity to say, well, let me go Google that and see if there's any truth to it. You know, I mean, there's a lot of people for the first time, I hate to say it, but are learning about Juneteenth and what it actually means, you know, this year. And so we should, for the most part, be striving to use our platforms to teach each other so we can get out of this hellhole that we are in currently.
Final words.
Exactly. My final words are this. You know, we often talk about group economics, right? We're always preaching group economics, which is something that we should be doing. But on this show, what we're doing is group communication. Dimitri has her show. I have my podcast. The General has his show. And we come together as a collective because we each bring stuff together. So we're not only just talking this stuff to you guys, we're actually practicing it. And we've got white supremacy on the ropes, and we cannot stop and go back to doing what we used to do. Things have totally changed now. Totally changed. And we are in a position to rewrite the script. And I'm going to say it again. The definition of madness is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And I'm talking in reference to the Democratic Party and expecting something, or not even asking for anything for our vote. You can vote for who the hell you want to, but get something for your vote.
My final words are simple. If you want to lay your badge down, you ain't got to leave, but you finna get the hell up out of here. That's what you finna do. That's how I feel about it. Say, man, I appreciate it. It's the War Zone with Donovan Sadiq, the Queen.
Say his name.
Demetri K.
Say his name.
I'm the 5-star general. We gonna leave you.
Say his name.
One of the hottest songs in the country right now.
Say his name.
Till tomorrow, man.
Say his name. Gianni is a fatherless daughter. George is a martyr. And Sharvin took a lamb and led him to a slaughter. And they killed him on the block for the whole world to see. And put a net to his neck on the side of the street. For 8 minutes 46, the world stood still. George never had a clue that he might get killed. Sharvin killed him anyway, with his hands in his pocket. Every nigga in every hood went off and they couldn't stop him. Fuck the National Guard and these crooked ass cops. Whether you black owned or not, we burn it down, you shot. It's only right, a motherfucker. It's been far too long. A simple ride to the store, you might not get home. Say, man, these laws on some fuck shit. We bout to buck, bitch. Don't give a fuck. You getting stuck, and we don't do it for the culture since you think it's a game. Third ward repping for George, so remember his name. Say his name. George. 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 Say his name, George. Say his name, George. Say his name, George. Say his name, George.